So, I was talking to a friend of mine who has dealt with arthritis, since that seems to be our topic, and pain and things. And we used to play ball together years ago, and he got into his 30s, and his body started giving out, and knees went, shoulder went, hands went, reflexes went, and he's younger than I am. But anyway, I knew he had arthritis, so I've been dripping on him about our products and dripping him about making some life changes. And so out of curiosity, I talked to him this week. And I purposely didn't, I better shut this thing off. I purposely didn't didn't share it with guys that I work with on a daily basis. I kept this one. But it was very entertaining, so I'm going to share with you. So I'm talking to him. Now, he's truly, there's an inside joke for people who know me. I'm 49. I see him in my mid-40s. It's because it's in the middle between 40 and 50. It's an inside joke. He truly is in his mid-40s. 44, 45, a few years younger than I am. And dealing with this arthritis. And I said, so, you know, are you open yet to making some changes? No, I'm following my doctor's protocol. I said, okay. How's that going? I said, what's the new prescription? Because again, knowing and seeing him, talking to him on a semi-regular basis, I know he's not playing softball anytime soon. I know he's not doing these other things. Knowing how doctors work, and he goes, well, here's what he's told me. He thinks we've got, the drug seems to be managing the pain. I said, okay, what are we doing? About 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen a day.
How many?
I know what?
6.
That's 6. Yeah, for somebody must be taking something.
No, I took 24.
Oh, you took 2,400. Lovely. Which we'll talk about. Because ibuprofen literally eats ligaments, eats joints, eats cartilage, eats not a good consumption. Okay, we'll get back to here. And I'm going, okay. And he goes, and here's the best part. Now he's excited. He told me I should be sedentary as much as possible. Does this sound familiar?
No, it just sounds funny.
Yeah. And I'm going, you're in your mid-40s. You finally have become successful in business, which means you have some money. You have, he owns his own business. And I'm going, so now the fruit of your labor is you're going to be a sloth until the Lord takes you home. That's your doctor's best advice. And somehow you're thinking, I'm nuts. I go, if you do this, do you understand you're accelerating arthritis? Sedentary lifestyle accelerates arthritis. He goes, no. And I said, so, anyway. I share that because I think it's terribly frustrating to a lot of people that are dealing with chronic pain, dealing with arthritis, because the advice doesn't go back to the cause. And so I'm doing a cancer, kind of give you an idea how these are all related. I'm doing a cancer workshop on Monday up in Lindstrom, and the book that I'm reading and the series that I'm involved in literally goes, there's no such thing as cancer. It's not a disease. It's simply a symptom to poor choices. People are volunteering. And that may sound cruel and it may sound whatever, but the same thing happens in arthritis. So I'm going to walk through some basic information just so you get an idea. There's about 200 known arthritises.
What?
We hear of osteo and we hear of rheumatoid, but there are subcultures in those. And there's about 200. There's 100 pretty regular ones, and then the next 100 are pretty obscure. Okay? And so, and what really is arthritis? Anybody, if I were to say, how would you describe what arthritis is? Give me a...
Acid in the joints.
Acid in the joints. What?
Inflammation. Itis is inflammation.
Itis is inflammation. So it's just simply more joint related, but it doesn't have to be. There are people that have arthritis in non-joint areas. It seems odd, but it's true. So I said there's 200 subcultures, so there's all sorts of different arthritis. Okay? But it's just simply inflammation. So when we really break down arthritis, understand that your goal is to break down inflammation. Okay? It's not to mask it. Okay? Let me give you an example. Number one prescription for arthritis is what? It's not a prescription. The number one advice is painkillers, but which one in particular? Advil or ibuprofen. Okay? Now, you already heard me say what's a side effect to Advil. It eats. Now, if it's being eaten, might that be a stress? And what really is stress? Inflammation. So it's perpetuating the pain. Okay? This isn't a highly sophisticated training because it's really pretty basic. When you really look at what arthritis is, it's simply, if you look at the most common, you have a central nervous system, is all nerves come, generally speaking, to a point. And what happens is, somewhere in there, they've gotten stressed, and then there's this acid that'll form over the nerve ending to protect it. It's our body's natural way of protecting. So we're not going to let you have any more pain. That acid's very sticky. It's very difficult to break apart. It's how it works. Okay? And all arthritis is this is chronic enough to where it can even break down the acid, will literally break down nerve endings. Is that repairable? I got asked when, I think, rephrase your question again, was what?
At what point, or is there a point where it's not reversible anymore?
And it's a really common question that people will ask you guys, okay? Well, I don't know if my type of arthritis, your stuff could help. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about our stuff as a one section of what it takes to be healthy with arthritis. Okay? So if I were to sit down with, say your name again. Say your name again.
Mark.
Mark. So if I were to sit down with Mark, who's taking 2,400 milligrams of ibuprofen.
No,
Used
he's
to.
not doing that anymore.
Okay, good. All right. But let's say you were. Okay? So let's go back in time when he was doing that. First thing I'd say is, why are you taking so much? So what were you dealing with at the time?
Basically, the pain that you get from running around and whatever.
Sure. So, did you have like a knee replacement or?
No, I had some ligament surgery.
Okay. So they weren't able to restructure him, get him. Did you R&R him?
Yeah.
Okay. So remove and replace. So what happens?
No, I'm sorry. It was just a repair.
Repair. Okay. There's R&R because what they'll do is actually take cadaver ones and then put them in, or a simple repair because they're fragmented, I would imagine.
Yep.
Okay. So the body, does the body have the ability to heal? Is really what she was asking. And the answer is yes. There has been many cases, if you do your research, where people have shown cartilage to start reforming. Now, is that typically known in the medical profession? No. If you were to talk to a doctor and they say, is it possible for cartilage to be reformed in the body, what would their answer be?
Absolutely
No.
not.
Okay? It's the same ones who say your teeth can't be repaired. So can your teeth have a cavity, and if you give it the right nutrition, right acidity, right balance, right water, which we'll talk about the 5 pillars, you do those things, can your teeth repair? The answer is yes. Okay? Now if it's dead, we can't resurrect the dead. Does that make sense? So if this nerve is dead, can you repair it? No. which is one of the reasons and one of the problems that I have with the most common protocol for arthritis and chronic pain is something that literally kills nerve endings.
What's killing the nerve endings?
Ibuprofen. It literally eats it. I mean, it literally eats it. Breaks it apart, perforates it, eats it.
Because that's where you're feeling the pain.
No, it deadens the pain, but it's also eating at it as it's doing. Cortisone is even worse.
Okay.
It's just, we're going to give you even more centralized deadening, but it eats it. So, let's talk about, okay, we hit 200 different types. There's osteo and rheumatoid, most common. Osteo is wear and tear of joints. It's usually where people think of arthritis. That's the most common. Rheumatoid is an autoimmune deficiency, or literally your immune system needs to be rebuilt so that, anyway, we'll get there, okay? Well, let's talk about chronic pain. What are some side effects to chronic pain? Mood. What?
Pain? I don't know.
Pain.
Reduced mobility.
Reduced mobility. Anxiety.
Depression.
Depression, big time. Matter of fact, if you talk to one of the people that I talked to dealing with this said, I'm volunteering. And I go, cool. I can't wait for your story. No. I pray every day that I die. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of heavy. You know, like, you have no idea what it's like to be 24/7 in the kind of pain I'm in. And then the drugs that they give me, you know, you're hallucinating, you're not yourself. I'm really hoping that God takes me soon. And you sit there and you look at this, and so the side effect to this is death. People wanting to die, people doing risky type lifestyles so that they can get cancer and die. They'd rather, I mean, the pain is unbelievable. And so we're going to look at the cause as the solution. Okay? So the cause, what are some things that stress eats? What are some things that inflammation eats? Give it that to counteract the eating of it, and give it enough of it, it'll repair. It eats it because it needs it. It needs it. It eats it. It consumes it. But then arthritis people have about a 2 times to 3 times more cancer than people who don't have arthritis. Because of the stress. And the stress needs glutathione, and glutathione is the body's, one of the main body's ammunition, or what you call soldiers. I don't know who said that. It was you, wasn't it?
Army, yeah.
Army. You go in there. So let's talk about the 5 pillars, and then this is literally what everything will be about today. Everything that we do in here will be about these 5. Okay? Moving forward, because we're going to talk about cause and effect. So the first thing you need to do is get a mindset or a path of the mindset. What that means is this. I'm going to call my friend, we'll call him Bob. Okay? We'll call him Bob, since we don't have a Bob in the room. Right? Bob's path was to listen to who? Doctor. Not saying don't listen to doctors. I'm not bashing doctors. But that was his only mindset. He was open to no other thing. So therefore, his mindset was ibuprofen. Actually, when ibuprofen isn't enough, what's the next one that they give you?
Cortisone.
Amoxicillin. So when it's too strong, he'll take amoxicillin. Or not amoxicillin, he takes oxycodone. Excuse me, amoxicillin's yeah, sorry.
No, we're like, what?
Yeah, oxycodone. Okay? So he's going, if ibuprofen is enough, take some more. If that isn't enough, then go ahead and feel free to take oxycodone. He has it with him 24/7. I'm going, that's his path. So we'll call that a strictly doctor path. That's it. I asked him, did he address clean water? No. And at all, did he address eliminating heavy metals? No. At all, did he talk about eating alcohol? No. Now mind you, all the research, not because we sell alkaline products, but all the research you can, alkalinity, clean water, eliminating heavy metals, these kind of things I'm going. And I'm like, what do we call him? Bob, I don't want to say his name, he's on my Facebook, I don't want people to reach out to him. But it's one of those things where you sit back and you go, dude, there's another mindset, and that's called take your own path. Own your path. You have to have a mindset, what I call open-minded. Doctors are trained to do 3 things. One of which is to cut, do nothing, or chemical. That's what they're trained in. I was going to go to medical school. I was already accepted into medical school. I was looking forward to that path. And then all I heard, you know, and I started going in and I started meeting other med students and started hanging around. I wasn't into classes yet, but I wanted to kind of get a feel for it. People who know me, I know that's not a big surprise. I wanted to go see what it was like partway through and halfway through and then start seeing people and I went and got my paramedic's license, so I was around. And I'm going, wait a sec. I heard one thing growing up. Let me ask you if you've ever heard the same thing. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. I heard these kind of, I grew up on a farm. When we had a sore joint, or we were sore working on a farm, because I will tell you, baling hay, even though you're a young buck, or I can tell you, you bale hay all day from dark 30 to dark 30, you're sore. And my grandpa, we'd go out there and he'd find the little alfalfa, the young one, not the big, tall, spindly ones. He'd find a little one, he'd go chew on these for a while. And lo and behold, I wouldn't be sore. So an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. This isn't prevention. You take your own path, you'll be in prevention. I guarantee you, you're going to do your own research. Research everything I tell you. You should. Don't just say my word for it. Yeah, I've done a ton of research, and I have all sorts of documents and sources. But the reality is, do your own research. So, first of all, you have to have a mindset that you open and own it. Then when you start doing it, then you're going to get into these other sections. I guarantee it. Why? Because I went in and I tried to be, let's put it this way. I'm Christian. And one of the ways that I tried to prove my Christian faith was I tried to be an atheist for a while. I started looking at the world through an atheist mind. And I started researching. And the more I got around it, the more it just didn't seem to make sense to me. Which made more sense that my Christian faith was stronger. Does that make sense? So if you look at it this way, is once you own it, you're going to get into here. You will. This path will start looking at it, and you start looking at it. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is the most gentle word I'd come up with. Okay? In my preparation, I had a different word, but I won't use that now. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, I'll tell you that word. Okay? What's that?
Asinine.
That was the word. But I won't do that on stage. Okay. Number 2. Okay? So if you're going to beat arthritis, let's look at your foundation. Let's start with foundation. Okay? Everything. Okay. Gus, have you ever built a house?
No.
Good. So I couldn't ask Mike. Okay? Even with not building a house, what's one of the most important things you can have in your entire house? Foundation. Because if you don't have that, the rest is going to fall down. You can have the best doors in the world, but if your foundation is not sufficient, you're going to have problems. Great windows. I don't know, what windows are the best out there. Even though I've built a lot of homes, there's some really good ones. It's called Marvin, since it's a Minnesota company. Pella, whatever, doesn't matter. You have the best premium that there is. If your foundation isn't set, you're toast. Okay? I'm going to say the same thing here. Obviously, you know, we're going to talk about alkalinity and food, and basically we're going to talk about supplements, and you need them. We're going to talk about water. But if this isn't right, the rest is in trouble. What number 2 is, okay, chiropractic. Your central nervous system must be in proper alignment. Okay? Anytime you have a curve, let's call it scoliosis, okay, so it's supposed to look like that. You've got a curvature or scoliosis, am I right? Am I saying that right, Christina? Okay. These spots that are supposed to be like this, these spots, these vertebrae are compressing, sending bad signals. They're finding, in all this research, it's funny what you find when you're doing your research, okay? So they've been trying to figure out why appendicitis happens, okay? So there's all this research and people are not figuring out, but chiropractors have known why appendicitis happens, okay? Because if you're out of whack down here, particularly right about there, your appendix is not going to live. They have found no other common cause. But that one they find. And so, again, you must restore the function or the movement. If you're going to have proper health, you have to. It's your foundation. It's your entire central nervous system feeds off your spinal column. If that's not right, you're in trouble. If that's not right, you're going to create stress, and stress creates inflammation. Stress eats glutathione and omega-3. Eats it. And glutathione and omega are critical to your blood and critical to your immune system. Omega-3 in particular, to your blood, but we'll get to it, okay? So the first thing I'm going to say is if you're going to beat arthritis, one of the things you want to do is make sure you restore function. Get anatomically aligned. I happen to believe, this is a personal belief, and you'll hear belief and facts, okay, so this is a personal belief. I've been to chiropractors who are what I call source of pain chiropractors. So if you're sore here, that's the only spot they'll adjust. We'll go, okay, great, you're sore, we'll adjust you, and you get that sense of relief. The reality of it that research has shown me in my studies, and I'm not a chiropractor, so that's why I said I'm not an expert on that, but to me, if one spot's out of place and it's causing pain, there's probably other spots that may be as well. And so there's 2 different philosophies in chiropractic. One's called point of pain, one's called anatomical. Okay? And I will tell you that's one of the reasons I continue to go to Christina, because she works the entire spinal column top to bottom. She makes sure I'm straight. And I will tell you it's night and day. I don't get in very much. My headaches come back, my stress come back, my sleep goes down the toilet. No matter what I do, supplement-wise, no matter what I do hydration-wise, no matter what I do eating-wise, that isn't right. I have headaches, can't sleep, tend to be a little shorter, not in height, but in my temperament. Make sense? Okay? So, number 2, in order of significance. So first thing you got to have is the right mindset.
Or it's all for me.
Okay? Because again, I'll say it. How many people do you know have just given up?
Most of them.
Okay? You will meet a lot of people as you approach business or you even approach life that are just plain giving up. My buddy has given up. He's going, I'm not going to live that long anyway, was how in our conversation. I'm kind of laughing. He goes, the amount of stress this arthritis has put on me, it's got to be killing my heart. I'm like, dude, you have kids. You know, don't you want to walk them down the aisle? I mean, he's going, why, you can get hit by a bus tomorrow. I don't walk in front of buses.
He's sedentary though.
He's the, that's right. I should have thought of that.
Honestly,
You were quicker than me, Jenna.
you're on the couch.
Okay.
A darn bus came and got me.
So, just getting straight makes sense. Now, here's the other thing, restore function. A lot of arthritis is caused from injury. A lot of arthritis is caused from an injury. I'll give an example. People hurt their knee and all of a sudden they didn't get aligned, they didn't get right. Here's some other things, they didn't get restorative blood flow in there. Because what happens on a leg, let's just draw a leg here. Here's the knee, that's as close as I can get. And they get an injury somewhere in here. Okay? And all of a sudden, that injury, or maybe it's a ligament, so they've got, on top of the knee and the bottom of the knee, they've got this going on, right? And what the body will do is restrict the blood flow to that area. Why is that?
Keep it from inflamming?
Keep it from swelling. Now think about it. What are one of the things that happens with chronic arthritis? What do they have all the time? What? Swelling. So now you've got an area. What's the only way you get delivered healing properties in your body is through your what? Blood. And we just restricted it. So one of the things that I tell people is, one, get anatomically aligned, and two, is make sure that you have a type of massage therapy what actually opens up the blood flow. Yeah.
So what happens when, like, say, somebody, they're 20 years old, they're playing football, they break their ankle,
Mm-hmm.
but then at 60 years old, that revisits them, that's where they get their arthritis. Why?
Because what happened, two things. They're young, so they heal, the bone will heal, but what oftentimes doesn't heal is the blood flow. The body, it takes a long time to heal, and in that time, you get calcification, but you also get a contraction of those arteries and veins. And literally that blood flow can be a restricted blood flow for years.
Is there any way to tell that that's happening?
Well, go ahead.
Okay, I'll work on a massage client, and she'll be like, oh, my neck hurts or whatever. And then I was like, not you.
I'm sitting right here.
Everything hurts on you. No, this was a new client, and she came in, and she's like, my neck hurts, I'm working on her neck, and I'm like, is there anything else, that you had happen that you want worked on? She's like, no. I go into her wrist, and I'm like, what happened? She's like, well, I guess years and years ago, I broke my wrist. I'm like, yeah, you did. Because anyway, it's above and below the joint. It's injuries that are in there forever.
Yeah. So, again, they're in there because they haven't been let go, so to speak.
Right.
Restoring that blood flow, and this is why I talk about restore function. Restore function is not, one of which you gotta have your spinal column right. The other is that point of injury. So again, whether it's a knee or ankle or wrist, is making sure, and one of the ways you can tell on yourself is it, have you ever met somebody and go, oh, I got knots all the time, or my wrist gets sore, like in her case, quickly. Okay? Well, that's your body's way of saying, I'm having restricted blood flow.
And restricted movement.
And therefore, with restricted blood flow, then you have restrictive movement.
Doesn't want to go there anymore.
Okay? So those are ways you can tell. And that's one of the reasons I always tell people that if you have an injury, get it all checked. Because if you deal with it right away, it's so much easier than dealing with it 20 than waiting until you're 60. But it's because of this, it never got released. A lot of what I deal with that your wife, Christina, takes care of me from is from years of playing college football. I haven't been in a car accident, but I've played sports. I've dove. I've gotten more concussions than I want to admit. Because if it's on tape, my wife might find out. So we'll just leave it at that. Had one last year at this time, setting up a deer stand. Had another one. Okay, I've had lots of concussions. That is why she continually has to make sure it's right. The restricted blood flow. You've worked on me some. But over time, once that body is healed enough, then it shouldn't come back. The problem is most people don't go enough to eliminate it, therefore it becomes chronic. That's why I said this becomes before this. Getting things right or it can be all at once, but I will tell you, this has to be critical. Getting that right and getting the blood flow right. Because the injuries, and again, how you can tell, just your body will tell you. You know, that person that was waiting in their 30s and 40s and 50s, they had restricted movement, they had pain, they had early onset fatigue, that's another way. Man, this arm, it just seems like it wears out so quick. That's years of injury or years of not getting it right, if that makes sense. Could be in a knee, okay? That answer it? Okay, good. All right. So any more questions on restoring function? Okay, good. All right, 2 or 3. Let's talk about nutrition, okay? So nutrition I break down in this way, okay? Is getting back to the basics. First thing I'm going to talk about nutrition is getting back to the basics. There's all sorts of websites, all sorts of books on eating alkaline. Okay? I'm going to actually have a handout. We're going to do a cancer class on Monday, but we're going to do another cancer class down here in November. We got the 21st, so what's Tuesday? The 17th. We're going to do a cancer, and I'll actually give people a diet plan, an alkaline diet plan, what I'll call the cancer killer plan. Okay? And so, but if you want to eat alkaline, go back to the basics. As much green leafy stuff, non-cooked. You can eat something particularly non-cooked that's ideal. We were talking about potatoes. Potatoes get a bad name out there. Cooked potatoes is simple starch. It's just sugar, it's all it is. A raw potato has one of the highest enzymatic factors in all the things you can eat.
What? How do you eat it?
It's wonderful for you.
But it's right under the peel.
It's right under the peel. He's correct. But you can eat the whole thing because there's so much enzymes. It's the same thing. If you have raw milk, you get some calcium. You have homogenized pasteurized milk, which is cooked. It steals calcium from you. So when you have a raw potato, high enzymes. You have a cooked potato, it steals enzymes. And literally creates the bad enzymes in your flora, in your intestinal system. So it steals it and creates more of the bad stuff. Do you understand? I mean, the difference in raw. So when I say get back to the basics, as much raw as you can eat. Fruits and vegetables. I'm going to read you an article. WebMD is now the most visited medical site in America. It's the #1 site for people to go to when they have questions about medical that they don't ask their doctor. Okay? It's #1. Okay?
What is it?
WebMD.com. WebMD.com. #1 site. Matter of fact, they're blowing every other medical site off the chart. They're the #1. So let me read you what WebMD states about arthritis. Nutrition plays little or no role in treating arthritis. There's a quote. Okay, now I want to give you the visual because it really makes me angry. This is one of my favorite visuals that I'll show you because it makes me angry. This is called, I'm not going to write on the words, but pretend this is a paragraph. So at the beginning of the sentence, it reads, right? What did it say?
Nutrition plays little to no role.
Little to no role. So it's like little, no role. Right? Same paragraph. Let me read further. Where is it? There it is. Many people see substantial relief from consuming omega-3, injections of glutathione, and curcumin in their daily diet.
In the same paragraph?
Same paragraph.
Yeah.
They don't even go and hide it. And the word was substantial relief. They don't even go anywhere else. Same paragraph.
I love WebMD. Isn't that because do they sell
The exact same paragraph, little verbiage, little different. MedicineNet.com is the second most site. MedicineNet. You're looking at different sites. Basically says the same thing. Little or no role in treating arthritis, but people see relief with omega-3 and curcumin. They didn't mention injections of glutathione. Okay? So, going back to the basics. Staying away from red meat. Red meat, particularly red meat. Okay, let's talk about red meat real quick. So, if you have red meat that's bought in a store, let's call it Joe Bob's Market, because I don't want to put any market to my thing, just in case Rainbow or Cub or anything else, they watch it, then they say I'm slamming them. So Joe Bob's Market, or any other market you would buy in a traditional meat supermarket. Or you go and have it butchered yourself and it's organic, non-nitrate sprayed. Critical. Okay, let me show you explain the real difference. When you have a cow that has been properly cured and you have a steak from it, will you have very much blood? The answer is no. Okay? But if you have a cow that you buy in a store, they have red in there, what do we all think it is?
Blood.
What is it really?
Food coloring.
Food coloring and
Nitrates.
nitrates.
What do the nitrates do?
Perforate your heart, perforate your liver,
What are they supposed to?
kill your,
Preserve.
it's a preservative.
All the fun things.
Yeah.
Keeps it
There's all the-
red, so don't turn it gray.
Tremendous amount of free radicals when you cook it.
What?
If you grill it and you buy it in a store, it's extremely full of free radicals, particularly if you char it. Nitrate and how it reacts to high temperature, bad juju.
And your grass-fed beef versus your corn-fed beef are a difference between omega-3 and omega-6 also.
You?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
They're treated to.
so,
Back in my meat.
I thought you knew this.
Well, I
Yeah.
sort of.
alright, so, eating. What are some better things to eat? Fish, particularly fish that you caught, ideally. It was so much fun this week to, what day did I tell you I grilled? Was that Sunday?
That's Sunday or Monday night?
Sunday or Monday night?
Monday night, I
What
think it was.
Yeah. Anyway, I caught a salmon when I was out in Seattle with Scott Dalloway, and it was a big one. It was 32 pounds, 32 pounds, right in that range, length and girth and all that stuff. It was awesome. Biggest one I've ever caught, and it was exciting. But the best part was my kids love walleye, sunfish, northern. If we gill catch a bass, because I don't want to let it go and just die, we'll keep that. Otherwise, we catch a release bass. But they're used to Minnesota fish. Salmon, not so much. They don't like the flavor, the oil, the fishy taste. And I'm going, so I'm telling them, I said, I'm going to grill salmon. I YouTubed a clip, and I saw how to grill it because I'm a horrible cook. I'm the worst cook you ever met. That's why raw is really good. Anyway, so I'm grilling it, and so anyway, they tell me how to grill. I said, look, you gotta try it. I said, this is Dad's biggest salmon he's ever caught. It's only my second salmon I've ever caught, but they didn't, get into that details. And I said, you gotta have at least a little bit. So both of them took a chunk about this big. Okay? Now my son eats as much as I do, even though he's 11. His 11-year-old sister is always eating like a bird. So for her to grab this much, no big deal. My son to grab this much, I'm like, are you sick?
Right.
He's like, it's, I know, Dad, you caught it, so I'll try it. Yeah. We had salmon for every day. I mean, today they had some. Must have been Sunday, because we had some Monday night. That's right, must have been Sunday. We had it Monday night, Sunday. They both went back in, got more salmon. They couldn't believe the difference in taste. It had nothing to do with fresh. It had to do with the fact that it's a real salmon caught from the ocean. It's not a store-bought. It's not some farm-fed. It's not full of GMOs. It's real fish. And they couldn't believe the difference in taste. It was phenomenal. And I will tell you, we've got some left because it was a big old salmon. We'll cook it again this weekend, even though we just had it for 3 days. They have no problem because we are Irish. I make some. Yeah. But if I talk about buying salmon in a store, no. Difference in taste, okay? So anyway, going back to fish is great, poultry's great, try to get as much as you can without GMOs. There's a huge difference. If you haven't heard, Russia just banned GMOs as an entire can't even be brought in the country. McDonald's had to shut down operation in Russia until they could figure out where to get meat that wasn't GMO. They closed McDonald's because, okay, so it's huge. All right, let's talk about supplements. Did I spell attacked right? Yeah.
Even I know that one.
Yeah, that's all right. I didn't know. Supplement to attacked. What does that mean?
Viruses. Protect.
Close.
Well, whatever the stress is eating, that's what you need to overfeed yourself to counteract it.
Correct. Okay. So when you think of, we already know that arthritis is what? Inflammation. I was right. There we go. Inflammation. Okay. Inflammation will eat enzymes. It'll really attack it. Stress kills off enzymes in your system by nature. So if you have a high stress job, you are lacking enzymes. If you're lacking enzymes, you can't be healthy. This is your immune system. Bar none. So when you hear the same kind of talk about with cancer, guess what? That's why this right here is why people with arthritis have higher incidences of cancer. Okay? So enzymes, it literally attacks them. What's the other thing it attacks? Glutathione. It doesn't attack it, it needs it. Inflammation needs glutathione. Here's why. Glutathione is your body's sending agent. It's chemical, so to speak. Not really chemical, but it's, I guess, chemical. Okay? What's that? A molecule. There we go. It sounds better. I like her word. We'll borrow Becca's word. Molecule sends it in, and that because that's how it's going to restore. That's its way of going in there and going, I need to repair this nerve ending. I'm going to send glutathione. Well, if you have chronic pain, it's constantly sending glutathione. Constantly. Okay, if it's constantly sending glutathione, what's the rest of the body doing? Suffering. Okay? So you have to look at, again, what's it's attacking? Glutathione. What's another thing it's attacking? Omega-3. Omega-3 have to do with the cellular integrity of all cells in your body. Same glutathione. Okay? So they're connected. So when you think of a cell, let's call this a nerve cell. Let's call it a brain cell. If you have a headache, you have inflammation of the brain. Not a big shock. Pain, inflammation. Okay? Those cells are being stressed. Where's it going to send omega along with glutathione? It's going to send them there. Does the rest of the body then lack omega-3s?
Yes.
Yes. So you should up omega-3s and up glutathione. Okay? So when you talk about eating alkaline and supplement, do we address enzymes?
Yes.
Do we address glutathione? Because a high alkaline diet makes glutathione better, okay, than an acidic diet. Matter of fact, acidic diet doesn't make any glutathione. Okay? How about omega? Yeah. Fishes, poultries, even some vegetables will have omega. Okay? And then the other one is electrolytes. Okay? Electrolytes are the core building mechanisms in your body, period. So if a body is stressed, it's going to burn up electrolytes. Electrolytes are potassium, magnesium, calcium, and sodium. The American diet's so full of sodium, that's one of the reasons we don't put sodium in, but it is something you need on a regular basis. Okay? Doing some research for people with, what's that where you retain water? Edema. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, they're finding out that edema is not a lack of water that you gotta cut back on. Okay, so they're going, oh, you have edema, you have too much water. Okay, that's what they're saying, right? If you go to a doctor, what do they tell you if you have edema? What do they give you? Water pill. Because you have too much water, that's why you have edema. No, you have edema because you're lacking water. You're lacking sodium of the right nature. And so the body goes, oh crud, I'm going to store everything I can because I don't want to ever run out. I'm lacking it. That's edema. Okay. How about anybody who has, anybody heard of something, I don't know, it's really rare, very obscure, you probably don't know anybody with kidney stones or gallstones. I know it's extremely rare, right? We wouldn't know anybody who's had those, right? So what's a doctor tell you to do when you have kidney stones? Cut back on what? On what? Calcium. What is really kidney stone? Calcium. So logically say, oh, you have extra, so that's why they're in your kidneys. So cut back. How do I know? 2 months ago I went to the doctor and I said, I'm having these pains right here. And he goes, oh, you're probably forming kidney stones. What should I do? Maybe this was 3 months ago. And he goes, well, you need to cut back on calcium. Why is that? Well, if the body's storing it, you have extra. And I look right at him and I go, have you ever heard of feast or famine? When you're in famine, what does your body do? Stores everything. I look right at him and I go, I don't have a pain in my kidneys. I now have a pain in my heart because what you're telling people is hurting them. I go, do your research. Do your research. Kidney stones are because same thing with edema. What happens here is the body is burning these up. And the body has no chance to be healthy. Therefore, arthritis can never be reversed. If you are lacking in enzymes or glutathione, omega, or electrolytes, your body can never go out of arthritis. Any one of these four. A high alkaline diet is going to give you a lot of these. Probably not at the dose you need if you have arthritis. Okay? You could theoretically get a fair amount of enzymes if you're going to eat 80 or 90 or 100 different types of greens. If you're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 different types of greens, you are never going to have enough enzymes. Is that it? So, a lot of people, I eat healthy. How many of you ever heard that? Yeah. Are you eating 70, 80, 90 different types of greens on a daily or at least every other day basis? No? Then it is impossible to have enough enzymes. If you don't have enough enzymes, you can't have enough electrolytes. Well, electrolytes are your building blocks of your body. Calcium builds your what? Structure. Potassium regulates what? Water. And how much water are we roughly? 75, 80%. On a good weekend bender, maybe 90. I've never drank in my life, but you get I was trying to lighten it up. You guys are so serious. Okay? Magnesium regulates what? Your heart. Electrostimulation. Those are the basic building blocks. If you don't have spark, what don't you have? Life. I mean, I do this all the time. EKG, good day? Yep, you need. Bad day. Lack of magnesium. Most headaches is your body screaming, I don't have enough magnesium. They say between 95 and 100%. There are many researchers saying headaches that are not structurally related.
Okay.
It's just your body's simple way of saying, I don't have enough magnesium.
Okay, when you do
Yeah.
have a headache, how do you know what it is from? How do you know if it's structural or?
Piece of cake. Go in and get properly adjusted. And if you still have a headache, it's magnesium. I will tell you, I'll go in sometimes with Christina, and she'll adjust me and my ears will stop ringing, because I'm kinda, I don't get in as much as I should, okay? We're busy, life's busy, my kids and coaching and doing trees and everything else, life's busy. Heck, we don't hardly get a chance to talk while life's so busy. So what happens is, I'll go in and get adjusted, and if I still have a headache, I'll straight neutralizer. Done. Instant. I mean, we're talking 2 minutes or less, my headache's gone. So if I'm structurally aligned, she does her thing, and I'm going, I still have a headache, and I know I'm just lacking magnesium.
This works with people that have chronic migraines.
Chronic migraines, again, over 90%, just simple lack of magnesium. Lack of magnesium. And or, with chronic, they're usually dehydrated. But they lack it, they go to magnesium, and the other one is they're probably dehydrated, which we'll talk about a little bit. Okay, so are we understanding supplements? Okay, so even if you eat right, the basics, you're probably not getting enough if you have arthritis. You have a question?
No.
Oh, you look like you had that confused look.
That's just
Or is
my
that
face.
normal?
Wow. She's not coming Saturday then.
Yeah. No, we already chatted. She knows I'm gonna tease her. Okay, let's talk about water real quick. Okay, they say 75% of all people are dehydrated. No, what? I got it wrong. 90%. Excuse me. 90% of all people are dehydrated 75% of the day. Okay? And if you're dehydrated, you're definitely in trouble. Okay? So, what's good clean water? Alkaline water is ideal. That would be number one. You can have good alkaline water. Okay? If you're going to have a straight RO, non-alkaline water, definitely add our neutralizer to it. Add some mineral base. Critical. Okay? Because now it's going to stay pure, plus you're going to get those electrolytes. And especially if it's RO water, it's going to draw in our neutralizer even quicker than what we already do.
What is RO?
Reverse osmosis. Good question.
So what you get at the co-ops and stuff?
Some will have RO. Usually at a co-op, they're going to just run it through a carbon filter.
I never drink distilled.
What's that?
I said I never drink distilled water because they'll die.
No, that's not true. Take distilled water, put our neutralizer in, you got good clean water and mineral based. Water is meant to have minerals. Okay? Just the easiest way to word it is, water is meant to have minerals. It wants minerals. Your body wants minerals in its water. It doesn't want the chemicals. So anytime, and again, I used to work at Culligan, I was a water analyst. I know it seems weird for my personality, but if I want to do that kind of stuff, my brain works that way, I just don't like to. Does that make sense? It's just painful. It's like going to the dentist. It's never fun. Even if she's cute. It's just never good. So what happens as a water analyst, I started studying how water works and how the body works within water. Because that was how I got into water analyzing with Culligan. But the reality of it is what happens with water is it attaches to things. It's very attachable. Okay, by its nature. It loves to attach to things. That's why chemicals get in there. And they don't filter out. Like if you have water and you add water and oil, they don't mix. Why is it that chemicals mix in there so well? Because the water attaches to things. So what you want is you want to have good clean water. Okay, you can get in distilled water. Again, you've heard there are some theories you can't drink distilled water. It's dead water. Well, okay, if I had a choice between chemicals or clean water, what do you think I'm going to pick? Clean water. What's an ideal way to have water?
With minerals.
With minerals.
Clean with minerals.
Clean with minerals. So again, I don't care what system you have. There's lots of systems out there. Culligan makes them, Kangen, there's lots of different systems. I'm not going to go into it. The difference that you want is you want clean, add mineral, ideal. Because now what will happen is, if you add mineral, it's not going to, even if you put it into, what's that chemical in plastic?
BPS.
What is it?
BPS.
BPA.
BPA.
BPA. Thank you, BPA. I knew you were close. BPA. it won't pull it out of the plastic if you add mineral to it. If you let it sit in there without any mineral to it, it'll start pulling the chemicals out. That's where that came from, is they would run it through these systems, very, 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 very clean water, and then they would put it into plastic and it would pull the plastic out. Well, all they would have needed to do is add a little mineral base, it wouldn't pull the plastic out.
It's like using-
The water wants to attach. Once it's attached, it's like it's married. Once it's attached, it's going, I'm good. I don't need you.